Hi! So today I'm going to show you some of my favorite stretches to open my shoulders and my chest and the front of my body to prepare for flipping your grip in some back bends. And then I'm going to show you the different ways that I worked on actually flipping my grip. Alright, so the first one that I like to do is cow face pose. So you want to cross your legs over like this with the knees stacking, toes pointed to the side. And whatever leg is on top, that arm goes under. So I'm going to reach my arm up in the middle of my back, and I'll show you the back view too. And then I'm going to get this arm and make my fingers meet in the back like this. And I usually like to curl my fingers to get a little bit of a clasp and also to really stretch, add shoulder stretch. And notice right now how this left shoulder right here is kind of collapsing in. I always like to make a conscious effort to kind of open up the shoulder and really get that stretch. And just stay in here for as long as feels comfortable. And usually when I start to feel like I relax into the pose, I'll just slowly bend forward. And be careful here to not round out your back like this. You want to keep that neutral spine. You want to keep that shoulder open. Don't let it hunch forward. And I usually stay here for a couple of breaths before I come up, release, and switch sides. Again, knees stacking, toes pointed outwards. My right leg is on top, so that means my right arm goes on the bottom. And if you need a modification or you can't quite reach your fingertips to grasp each other, you can use props. So what I have here is my infinity strap. Any regular yoga strap will work as well. If you do not have a strap, you can always use a towel. I'm a big fan of using things you already have so you don't need to buy other things. And when you're using the strap, you can just try to work your hands in as close to each other as possible. And it's a good way to activate the stretch if you can't quite reach your fingertips to each other. And the same thing goes for using a towel. So the next stretch that I like to do, I call the chicken wing pose for lack of a better name. So what you want to do is you want to take the backs of your hands and place them on your sides. I usually place them at the level of my hip bone or my natural waist, anywhere around there or in between. And usually it's more my knuckles than so much the back of my hand that's on my sides. And then bring your elbows forward a little bit and place your feet flat on the ground, a little wider than hip distance apart. And get your knees on the outside of your elbows like so. And then just use your knees to just push your elbows in together. And try to maintain that neutral spine still. You don't want to be hunching over too much. And just press and squeeze. And just hold it here for as long as you feel comfortable. So the next one following that is a variation of what we just did. So I put my pinkies together, palms facing me, and then I place my palms on my chest. And then you want to have your feet in the same position as the last one, a little bit more than hip width apart. Place the knees on the outside of your elbow, and then press. My elbows only ever touch like this after I've worked out and warmed up my upper body. This doesn't always happen, and it definitely did not happen the first time I did it, or the first few or 100 times. Now we're going to work on opening up the chest and the front of the body. And so I'm going to turn sideways for you. And I'm just sitting in a relaxed position, and then I interlace my fingers behind my back, palm facing my back, and then just lift up. I usually stay here for a little bit, and then to add more of it, I place my hand back as far as I can go, and really kind of give a little bit of an arch. You want to puff the chest up, make you really proud. You should really feel it opening up in your chest there. And then the last one I like to do is puppy dog pose. So get your hands out far enough so that your knees are making a right angle and really melt your chest into your mat. You want a little bit of extra, you can go up on your fingertips to get that extra height. So those are the stretches that I do, and now let's work on actually getting that grip to flip. So the first pose that I learned to flip my grip in is King Pigeon pose, and it's just a little bit easier to start out with because you're kind of already on the floor, you're not having to work on managing your balance at the same time like you do a dancer's pose. And I will say this, before you start to try these poses, it's also important to really stretch out your quads and your hip flexors, as they are backbends. And a good place to start for that will be my splits video on YouTube. I'll put the link there. And in the next 2 weeks or so, I am planning on filming you guys a new flow for backbends, which will include those quad and hip flexor stretches, as well as these shoulder and chest opening stretches that I showed you, but all incorporated into one flow. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is not the full flipped grip, but it was an important stepping stone for me to figure out like my hand placement and to kind of work on that mobility of getting my shoulder to rotate. So we're going to start in pigeon pose. And I bring the foot up, and I grab my foot like so. So this is really just for the purpose of bringing my foot in closer to my body, and then I grab it with my right hand. This right hand serves as a placeholder. It's just keeping my foot there so that I can work on managing the grip for my left hand. So I'm going to bring my left hand through this little hole I've created, and I'm going to turn my palm out towards you guys, towards the outside. Bring the elbow in towards my body. I'm going to rotate my hand towards myself, so palm turns up, and now it's facing me. And that's how I'm going to grab my foot, right here. And as I'm slowly managing this and slowly working on grabbing my foot with the left hand, I am starting to rotate my elbow up. And I do that until I have almost fully rotated. And then I release my right hand. I put it on the floor just for balance purposes, and then I fully rotate. And after you fully rotate, you can either keep that right hand there on the floor to maintain your stability, or you can reach it up and grab it. And you'll notice that I can't grab my foot with my right hand right away, so I usually inch it down my elbow. And just finish rotating. So now we go into the full flipped grip, so back to pigeon pose. And you want to keep the same things in mind with the hand positioning. You want to keep the elbow in here, palm facing outward, and then facing up. It is going to be a little straighter when we do this. So you want to put your palm on the top of your foot. You're kind of holding it up like this. And now you want to make sure you have a good grip here. I usually like to grip towards my toes just because I'm not as flexible in my quads and my hips to really get closer to my ankle. And it's the same idea as before, except now we don't have that right arm to help pull the leg towards us. And so just bringing it in, point the foot, and now here is where we started when we had the right arm helping us, and finish rotating. So now I'm gonna show you flipping the grip in dancer's pose, and I find that first method of using your right arm as an assist a lot more helpful in dancer's pose than it was for king pigeon pose. And while here is my best friend for all things balancing, I have a really hard time balancing on one foot, so things like warrior three, even mountain pose, I kind of tend to topple over. So this is just here for me so that I don't fall this way over completely. So I'm going to first do the first method that I showed you, where it was kind of that assisted flipped grip. So I'm going to grab my foot here, and I always like to keep this palm turned outwards because it just makes it easier to feed it through the hole, and also for my right hand to come in to grab it. So I'm just grabbing at my toes, and then I'm going to feed this hand through find that flipped grip already. Rotate, and when I feel comfortable, I'm going to release my right hand. If you want to add that hand, you grab my forearm. Oops, and falling right there. That's why I have the wall here. Grab my forearm and work your way down to your toes. So now I'm going to show you the full flipped grip for dancer's pose. So I've still got my wall here. And so again, bring the elbow in toward your side, palms facing outward, and then palm facing up. So you grab the top of your foot like so. I usually like to grab kind of around my toes and bring it in and rotate. So one thing that I have trouble with when I'm flipping my grip is that I just lose the grip. My foot just slides right out of my hand, and it's usually because of sweat. So one good way to practice it is to wear shoes. It really helps just keep that grip of your hand on your foot. So the only problem when working on your grip flipping with your shoes on is that it makes your foot a little bulkier. So I have trouble doing the full flipped grip, but it is a good way to practice that assisted one. So if flipping the grip is still not accessible to you, but you still want to work on it, what you can do is use a strap. I have here my infinity strap again, but anything that creates a loop will be helpful. I remember before I got this, I was tying the ends of the scarf together just to create that loop. So the same hand positioning still applies. You want to put the elbow in, hand outward, and then facing up. Just now you're holding onto the strap. And in the position, you want to get the other end of the loop on your foot. So everything about this is good for practicing your flipped grip, even if you can't quite reach your foot, because it's helping you practice all the proper positioning and the proper grips. And then you do the same thing where you rotate, and you can still add that other hand there. And with the strap, you can always walk your hands down the length of the strap until you find the middle. It doesn't matter where you end up. I remember one time when I was first learning how to do this, I started with the strap and I worked my hands all the way down the length of it and then just released the strap. It was awkwardly hanging from my leg, but it was fine because it kind of really showed me the positioning of where my arms were supposed to be. So you just do the same thing, flip that grip, and you're up here, and then just walk the hands down the strap. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope that it was helpful. And don't worry if you can't get it right away. It took me a very long time to learn how to flip my grip, also because I wasn't aware of all the components that went into it. So stay tuned for my next video. I'm going to do a little backbend flip for you guys. Bye.